Alright, so let's try and solve this particular quiz. Okay, I'll start with number one. Number one, which statement is true? 40% of people in the UK attended cinema in 1995. 40% of people, no. We have data for different age groups, 14 to 24, 24 to 34. So there are four different age groups. So you can't say 40% of people. If you say 40% of people, that means you are referring to everybody in the UK. But that's not what is on the chart. The chart has categorized people into different age groups. So this first sentence does not mention age group. So that makes it faulty. The second one says 40% of UK residents within the age group of 44 to 54 years. Yes, this number 2 is correct. It looks more accurate than number 1. Number 3, the cinema attendance by people within the age group of 44 to 54 years was 40%. No. This is an awkward statement. Cinema attendance. No. This you can't even start that sentence with cinema attendance. It's complicated. Option B is better than option C. Option D, attendance rate by people within the age group of 44 to 54 years was 40%. No, same problem here. This thing is awkward. Attendance rates, the better way to put this option is to say that what? The proportion of people, okay, the fraction or the percentage or the proportion of people within the age group of 44 to 54 years that attended cinema in 1995 was 40%. That's how to write that option D. Attendance rate does not really fit in. Okay? Then option E, 40 people. No, it's not 40 people. The figure is in percentages, so you cannot say 40 people. 40 people is completely different from 40% of people in a particular age group. So the best answer for this number 1 question is going to be option B. Option B. Let's look at the next one. Which statement is the most accurate? UK residents within the age group of 44 to 54 years had the highest attendance rates. Attendance rates. Let me look for. If I see another answer that doesn't have attendance rates, that doesn't have rates, I'll pick it. Because this chart does not mention the word rate, I'm going to be wary about using the word rate. Okay? If a chart does not mention rates, if they don't write rates, look at the title here, cinema attendance in the UK. They didn't write rate here. Look at the y-axis, percentage of age group. They didn't write rate there. There's nothing like rate on the question. So it won't be advisable to use the word rate when you're writing. Okay? You should only use rates if they have used rates in the chart or in the question prompt, or if you are seeing unemployment rate, employment rate, okay, death rate, birth rate, enrollment rate. Those are the examples of cases where you can use rate. But if those things are not what you are seeing on your chart, don't use the word rate. Okay, that's candid advice. Now, so option A, I won't pick it yet. Option B, more people cannot fit in here. This figure is in percentages. So we cannot say more people. Better still, it's better to say greater proportions of people within the age group of. That will make option B more appropriate. Option C, compared to other age groups, greater proportions of UK residents within the age group of 44 to 54 attended cinema throughout the period. This option C looks okay. The only problem with option C is that they did not put years. Within the age group of 44 to 54 years. I would have preferred if years was written there, but they didn't write year. So let's check the others. Cinema attendance increased in the age group. This statement is a complicated statement. It's a complicated statement. I won't go for it. Last one. Cinema attendance skyrocketed throughout the age group of. No. Option C is the best answer here. Let's look at the next one. Which statement is most accurate? Which statement is most accurate? The proportion of those that enjoyed sports, computer games, and shopping reduced. Reduced? We can't use language of trend here because there's no date here. So you can't use reduced. Reduced is out. Fluctuated in option C2 is out. So our answer is option B. More boys than girls enjoyed sports, computer games, and shopping. Can you see? So Option B is our answer here. Which two statements are most accurate? 25% of boys liked sports compared to 10% of girls that liked sports. So sports 25%, girls, okay? Which two statements are most accurate? This one is accurate. This one is accurate. Okay. So number one would be correct. 25% of boys liked sports compared to 10% of girls that liked sports. Number two, 25 boys. No. The figure is in percentages. So number two cannot be correct. 25 boys. The figure is not 25 boys. The thing is in percentages. Okay. You cannot use number as a paraphrase for percentages. Number three, compared to girls, a greater number of boys. No, number of boys. No. Number of boys is wrong. Compared to girls, a greater rate. No. Rate is wrong. I already talked about rate earlier on. We can't see rate on this chart, so we can't use the word rate. Compared to girls, a greater fraction of boys, 25% like boys. This last one is correct. The first and the last are accurate. Next one. Which statement is most accurate? About 35% of shopping. No. 34% of shopping activities. No, that's wrong. It's not shopping activities. It's boys. 35% of boys or 34% of girls. 34% of boys or 34% of girls engaged in shopping activities. That's how it should sound. That's what it should sound like. Option B says about 34% of boys reported that shopping was their favorite activity. Okay, yes, that's correct. This is 34%. You can say 34%. While 10% of girls opted for shopping. Yes, option B is correct. Option C is off. 34 boys is not what we have on the chart. Next one, which statement is most accurate? The rate of using self-catering accommodation in England was about 28%. No. Rates. I can't see the word rate on this chart, so I won't use the word. I won't pick option A. Rate is wrong. Rate is completely wrong. Option B. About 28% of people from England stayed in self-catering accommodation. Yes. 28% of England. This is England here. Self-catering is color blue. Yes, it's 28%. They stayed in self-catering accommodation. So this second one is correct. Third one says about 28% of people in England live in. No. These guys went on vacation. So they are not living there. They just went there for a while. So the correct word should be stayed in. Stayed in. That should be the correct word. Then last option, the percentage of hotel use reduced. No, you can't use language of trend here. Reduced cannot fit in. Language of trend cannot fit in here. Okay. Next one. Which of the sentences below reflects accurate interpretation of percentages? 18 to 24 Canadian donors. No. This thing is about age group. 18 to 24 represents age groups, a particular age group. 18 to 24 years, 25 to 34 years, 35 to 49 years. Those are age groups. So option A is out of it. Option A does not reflect that you understand the concept of age group. So option A is out. Option B, Canadian donors within the age group of 18 to 24 years donated 20%. No. They didn't donate 20%. 20% of them donated. That's how it should sound. Next one. 20% of Canadians within the age group of 18 to 24 years. Yes. This one is correct. Option C is correct. The rate of... No. It's not rate. There's nothing like rate on the chart. You can't see rate there. So, the best answer is going to be option C. Next one. Which three overview reflects accurate interpretation of percentages? Canadian donors increased as age group increased. No. This first option is faulty. Canadian donors increased as age group increased. It looks okay, but I won't pick it first. Let me check the others. Greater proportions of elderly Canadians donated to charity than younger proportions. Yes, this number 2 is better. Number 2 is a better representation of what is in option 1. You can understand my point. So Canadian donors increase as age group. No, a better way to say it is that word. Greater proportions of elderly Canadians donated to charity compared to younger Canadians. Then older Canadians donated greater proportion of their funds. We don't know the proportion that they donated. We just know they donated. So option C is telling us something that is not on the chart. Is option C is telling us something else that is not on the chart. So I won't go for option C. Option D. The rate of donation increased among the elderly, but it reduced. No, that's wrong language. The rate of donation and then rate, that word rate is faulty. It's wrong. It's not appropriate in this context. The more of elderly Canadians donated to charity in 2015 than in 2000, but fewer Canadians donated in 2015. Yes, that's correct. If you look at the chart, you see that for the elderly ones, the light blue bar representing 2015 is taller than the dark blue bar for the elderly ones. But for the younger ones, you can see that the light blue bar is shorter. Can you see that? So this sentence here is correct. More elderly donated to charity in 2015 than in 2000. But fewer young Canadians donated to charity in 2015 than in 2000. So the amount donated, no. We don't know anything about the amount donated. The proportion of elderly Canadians that donated to charity increased during the period. Okay. Yes, it increased. Elderly increased from 34% to 40 something percent to 39% or 38%. Same thing with 65 and above. So this one is correct. The proportion of elderly Canadians that donated to charity increased during the period, but the proportion of young Canadians reduced. Yeah, so that one is correct. Next one, elderly Canadians donated most of their money. No, we don't know whether they donated most of their money. What we have on the graph is the proportion of Canadians that donated. Proportion of elderly Canadians that donated. Next question. Which statement is most accurate? The use of hotels reduced from about 55% in England to 40%. No. This one is off. We can't use the word reduced. This chart has just one date, 2010. Somebody says, what of the 2012? No, I think it's a typographical mistake. That thing should have been 2010 in the question prompt. So it's 2010, it's just 1 year. So you can't use the word reduced. Option B, 55% of people used hotels in England. Hotels in England. No. 55% of people from England used hotels. That's how it should sound. Not used hotels because these people, they went on vacation. Okay? We don't know whether they went on vacation in England or they went out of England, but we know they went on vacation. And they stayed in 4 different places during their vacation. So this option B is off. Option C, 55% of people from England stayed in hotels. Yes, compared to 45% of people from Northern Ireland. Yes, option C is the most accurate. Next question. Which statement is the most accurate? Staying in camping accommodations was greater in England. No, not greater in England. That's poor sentence construction. The word should be greater proportions of tourists stayed in camping accommodation. Greater proportions of tourists from England and Wales stayed in camping accommodation than in caravan accommodation. That's how it should sound. So option A is out. Option B, camping accommodations were popular in England and Wales. Option B2 is somehow awkward. Option C, greater proportions of people from England and Wales, yes, stayed in camping accommodations than in caravan accommodations, yes. Whereas greater proportions of those from Scotland stayed in caravan. This option C is correct. Greater proportions of, if you look at caravan, color green, you can see that color green of Scotland is greater than color yellow. Color yellow is for camping. For England, color yellow is greater. For Wales, color yellow is greater. Can you see? So that's what they are saying in this last option. Greater proportions of people from England and Wales stayed in what? Stayed in camping accommodations than in caravan accommodations. Okay, next one. Which statement is most appropriate? In 2003, less than 20% of people in USA ate in restaurants several times a week. 2003 is the dark one. Less than 20%, yes, that's correct, of people in the USA ate in restaurants several times a week. This number 1 looks correct. Number 2, in 2003, the rate, no, I can't see rate on this chart, so let me leave that issue of rate. In 2003, the number is out, so the answer is A. No need to waste our time. Next one. Eating in restaurant once a week was the most popular activity. No. We don't know about activities. There are different types of activities. Watching football is an activity. Listening to radio is an activity. Eating in a restaurant is an activity. Going to the stadium is an activity. So this thing of activity is off. Because the only thing on this chart is what? Eating. So you can't write this option A. Option B. In 2006, the proportion of those who ate in restaurant once a week was greater than the proportion of those in other categories. Yes. In 2006, the proportion of those who ate in restaurant once a week, see once a week here, this one here is once a week. You can see is somehow greater than the one of once or twice a month. Color black is greater. Color gray is greater. Only color white is not greater. Hold on. 2006, color black, that's the only thing to focus on. Yes. Yeah, color gray. Yes. 2000 is correct. Option B is correct. Option B is correct. Option C, eating restaurant once a week was greater. No. What we should have is percentage of people that ate in restaurant once a week. The percentage of people that ate in restaurant once a week was greater in 2006 than in 2003. That's how that option C should sound. Okay? Our sentences must be accurate. Very, very accurate. Next one. Which statement is inaccurate? So we are looking for the wrong one here. Compared to other government, the Portuguese government spent greater fractions of its funds on road and transport. We don't know. Greater fractions of its funds. This is sounding correct, and at the same time it's sounding awkward. Greater, in other words, Portugal spent more money than the others. That's what this option 1 is sounding like. So let me leave it. In Portugal, there was a decline in the proportion of government spending on road and transport. That's correct. Option B is definitely correct, so it's not the inaccurate one. Option C, compared to other governments, the Portuguese government spent majority of its funds on road and... This is the wrong one. We don't know what they spent on other things. So we cannot say they spend majority of their funds on road and transport. When you say majority, that means you know what they spent on other things. And so you can say, this one is the majority. Okay, so option C is off. Option C is the wrong one. Which statement is accurate? In 1990, the UK government spent 10% of its funds on road and transport. This figure was the lowest when compared with the other 3 countries. Let's check. The UK government in 1990. What's the color? 1990 is color blue. Yes. This figure was the lowest. This option A looks accurate. The UK government spent 10% of its funds on road and transport. This figure was the lowest when compared to the other countries. Option 1 looks correct, accurate. In 1990, the Italian government spent 22% of its funds on road and transport. Yes, that's correct for Italian government. This figure increased above, is greater than, that's how to write it. Don't say increased above. Is greater than, that's how to write it. So option B is off. Option C, in 1990, the Portuguese government spent about 27% of its funds on road and transport. Okay, this figure was the highest when compared with the other 3 countries. This figure was the high. We are looking for the one that is accurate. Okay, in 1990, the Portuguese government spent 27% of its funds. Yes, on road and transport. That's color blue. It's 27%. This figure was the highest when compared with the other 3 countries. Wow. Yeah, this one is correct. What of number 1? In 1990, the UK government spent 10% of its funds on road and transport. This figure was the lowest when compared with the other 3 countries. This one too is also correct. Interesting. 2, this one Option A and option C are actually correct, are actually accurate. Okay? So I'm sure the answer is going to be one of the two. Alright, let's move on. So we have a table here. Which statement is the most accurate? The gross domestic product of industry increased. No. This poor interpretation of gross domestic product. Gross domestic product basically refers to the sum total of what a country produces. A country. Okay? A country has many sectors in its economy. A country will have agricultural sector, entertainment sector, okay, manufacturing sector, finance sector, okay, tourism sector, agriculture sector, different sectors. All the contributions of those sectors make up what we call GDP, gross domestic product. Okay, so you cannot say gross domestic product of industry. No, that's wrong. It should be gross domestic product of a country. That's how you use the word gross domestic product. Okay, so option A is off. Option B, the contribution of industry to gross domestic product increased. Yes. Let me see. Industry 22, 25, 30 years. Option B is correct. Option B is correct. Option C is wrong. The proportion of gross domestic product for industry increased. No, option C is wrong. Next one. Which statement is the most accurate? The services sector contributed more than double to the gross domestic product. No. It's wrong. More than double is not clear. It's confusing. Option B, the gross domestic product of the services sector was the greatest throughout the years. Yes. No. Something is wrong here. The gross domestic product of the services sector. No. It should be the contribution of services sector. And that's what you have in option C. The service sector contributed more. Yes, option C is the correct answer. Next one. Which statement is the most accurate? The rate of rate is off. Remove option A. The gross domestic product from option B2 is off. The proportion of gross domestic product attributed to the agricultural sector increased. Yes, option C is the correct answer. Hope you are getting my explanations. Which is the most accurate? In 2017, the gross domestic product increased from it didn't increase from agriculture. Was greater or was the lowest? That's how to write it. Because you are focusing on 1 year. You are focusing on 1 year. So you should use language of comparison. Okay? If I'm focusing on 2017 and I want to talk about agriculture, industry, and services for 2017, I can't use the word increase. What I should use is word greater, lesser, more. Okay? So option A is off. Option B, in 2017, the gross domestic product got 11% contribution from agriculture sector. More than double of this, 25% came from industry sector. And the largest proportion, 65% came from. Okay. Option B looks cool. Okay. But let me check option C whether it's more accurate. In 2017, the proportion of gross domestic product in agriculture, it should be from agriculture. From agriculture. Increased from 11% to 25%. And it reached a peak. No. This option C is wrong. Option B should be the answer. Option C has mixed up different figures. 64% is not for agriculture. 64% is for services. So option C is off. Option C is off. So let me submit my answers now and check out the ones that are correct and the ones that are wrong. Submit. Let me view my score. I got 22 over 22. All my answers are correct. Everything is correct, ladies and gentlemen. So, I want you to go through it again. Listen to the video, watch the video again. Okay? And then try the quiz again so that you will be sure that, yes, you have actually mastered this issue of interpreting percentages correctly. Hope you get my point.